Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful for You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Bold and the Beautiful presents a profoundly emotional and ethically intricate narrative as Katie Logan, recognized for her unwavering loyalty and compassionate nature, undertakes the perilous and morally ambiguous act of clandestinely liberating Luna Nozawa from incarceration and concealing her in an isolated, undisclosed site, jeopardizing all she has established to safeguard a young woman already judged by society. The narrative commences in the wake of the turmoil following Luna's incarceration, a series of events that rendered the Forresters, Spencers, and Finnegans irrevocably fragmented in unforeseen manners. Luna's imprisonment elicited satisfaction from Steffi Forrester, anger from Lee Finnegan, remorse from Bill Spencer, and a disquieting silence from Finn, who grappled with the conflict between his professional duty as a physician and his paternal responsibilities towards the profoundly troubled young woman. Amidst the chaos and public revulsion, one individual perceived Luna differently, a terrified, emotionally unstable young woman overwhelmed by guilt and exploited by uncontrollable forces. The individual was Katie Logan, whose conscience prevented her from sleeping as she perused the morning headlines announcing Luna's destiny. Katie's empathy stemmed not from ignorance or naivety, but from her personal experiences of being undervalued and shattered by treachery. She recalled her struggles with heart failure, her proximity to death, her profound emotional wounds from Bill's betrayals, and the numerous instances she doubted her worthiness of salvation. In Luna, she observed the identical desperation, the same glimmer of compassion obscured by layers of errors and suffering. She commenced clandestine visits to Luna in prison, masquerading as a volunteer for a women's recovery initiative. During these covert visits, Katie observed Luna's physical decline, profound psychological instability, and her unvoiced anguish while other inmates victimized her. The girl had transformed into a mere specter of her previous self, tormented by the recollection of Will Spencer's visage, Bill's fury, and Lee Finnegan's frigid disapproval. Upon discovering that Luna had been brutally assaulted during a prison altercation and deprived of sufficient medical attention, Katie had a profound emotional rupture. It was illogical. It was unlawful. However, it was her humanity that propelled her towards the most audacious act of defiance she had ever undertaken. The events commenced on a tempestuous night while Luna was being relocated to the prison infirmary following a second assault. Katie leveraged her connections and charisma to exploit the system. She reached out to a compassionate nurse indebted to her from her foundation tenure and orchestrated the substitution of Luna's medical transfer documentation with that of another inmate. Amidst the obscurity of inclement weather, Katie arrived cloaked in a dark coat and cap, escorted by a reliable driver from Spencer Publications, who believed she was conducting a charity pickup. Luna, frail and scarcely aware, was transported on a stretcher, her identity obscured by multiple layers of bandages and medical blankets. In a scene reminiscent of a noir film, Katie's vehicle vanished into the rain-drenched streets of Los Angeles while alarms echoed faintly in the background. The official report would subsequently assert that Luna fled throughout the turmoil. Nevertheless, the reality, known solely to Katie, was considerably more intricate and perilously more threatening. Katie took Luna to a historic Spencer estate in Big Bear, a remote lakeside cottage once utilized by Bill as a clandestine retreat during his affair with Brooke Logan years prior. It was ironic, nearly poetic, that the location once associated with betrayal would now function as a refuge for salvation. Luna regained consciousness days later, feeble still alive, her face contused and her eyes bulging with bewilderment. "What prompted you to take this action?" she murmured hoarsely as Katie applied a cool towel to her forehead. Katie lacked a flawless response. "You merit an opportunity to exist before society deems you unworthy of salvation," she whispered. For several days, Katie clandestinely tended to Luna's recovery, surreptitiously providing sustenance and medication while refraining from contacting anybody, even Bill. She informed the housekeeper and groundskeeper that she was attending to a distant relative with mental health challenges, and they honored her privacy. Each time Katie gazed upon the tranquil, fog-laden lake, she recognized that she was teetering on the precipice of danger. Simultaneously, in Los Angeles, turmoil ensued with the revelation that Luna Nozawa had evaded detention. Lee Finnegan was incensed, her rage was limitless. She initiated a manhunt, alleging the jail staff's inefficiency and publicly urging the LAPD to enlist the FBI, asserting that Luna posed a threat to both society and herself. "She will once again manipulate someone, she will ruin another life," Lee asserted in a televised remark, her gaze icy with years of familial animosity. Finn, while outwardly reticent, was inside disintegrating. He was unable to reconcile his Hippocratic oath with the alarming prospect that his patient, his biological daughter, was now a fugitive. Conversely, Steffi perceived the scenario as karmic. "This is the consequence of allowing darkness to fester," she remarked coldly to her mother, Taylor Hayes, during a strained Forrester family reunion. Taylor, perceiving a deeper situation, advocated for prudence. "If Luna is indeed out there, she is undoubtedly frightened. Terrified individuals exhibit unstable behavior." Bill Spencer was arguably the most conflicted individual of them. His fury towards Luna for assaulting his son had previously been unwavering, although the revelation of her departure unsettled him in unforeseen ways. He recalled Katie's empathy, her capacity to recognize virtue even in individuals as monstrous as himself while others could not. Upon observing Katie's distraction, evasiveness, and frequent overnight absences, suspicion began to escalate. "What are you concealing from me, Katie?" he inquired one morning as she assembled an enigmatic bag. She diverted the conversation by asserting that she was seeing her sister, Donna. However, Bill's intuition, honed by years of deceit, indicated that the reality was significantly more sinister. He assigned Justin Barber the responsibility of monitoring her movements. At the cabin, Luna's psychological condition oscillated between appreciation and paranoia. She commenced creating peculiar illustrations of the individuals she harmed, Will, Finn, Steffi, Lee, and affixed them to the wall. "They are all observing me," she murmured to Katie one night amidst a downpour. "They require payment from me." Katie attempted to comfort her, however she was plagued with the same inquiry, had she made the correct decision? When Luna commenced her nocturnal excursions outdoors, barefoot and murmuring to herself, Katie recognized that the girl was significantly more unstable than she had previously believed. However, it was too late to retract. The world believed Luna was deceased, and if Katie revealed the truth at this juncture, she risked incarceration herself. The tension escalated when Finn, consumed by guilt and desperation, followed a clue that brought him close to Big Bear. He informed Steffi that he required closure, asserting the necessity to ascertain if she is genuinely absent. Steffi covertly trailed him, apprehensive that he was on the verge of committing a grave error. Meanwhile, in the cabin, Luna fainted during one of her nocturnal bouts, prompting a terrified Katie to contact an old acquaintance from University Hospital for assistance, unaware that her call would initiate a location trace. Within hours, the Spencer and Finnegan families gathered around Big Bear, and the startling reality began to emerge. Bill was the first to arrive, bursting through the front door in a rage, only to halt upon witnessing Katie caring for Luna as if she were a child. "What is this?" he insisted, his voice wavering between fury and incredulity. Katie, quaking, elucidated her shame, concern, and apprehension regarding Luna's potential demise in that confinement. "You have lost your sanity, Katie," Bill murmured. "You did not rescue her, you merely positioned yourself as her subsequent victim." Before she could respond, Luna awakened, screaming, convinced that Bill had come to return her to incarceration. She seized a fragment of glass from a shattered photo frame, applying it to her neck. "Do not permit them to apprehend me, Katie." She wept. The moment became suspended, Bill lunged forward, Katie implored, Finn erupted through the threshold, and Steffi gasped in terror from behind him. In a moment of instinctual reflex, Finn approached Luna and delicately disarmed her. "You are secure now," he conveyed to her gently, his voice quivering. "However, evasion of your actions is untenable." Katie wept quietly as Luna fell into Finn's embrace, murmuring, "I merely sought absolution." This poignant tableau revealed the myriad wounds present, Lee's incapacity for forgiveness, Steffi's fixation on control, Bill's compromised ethics, and Katie's unwavering compassion. Upon the authorities' arrival, Finn and Bill persuaded them that Luna required psychiatric evaluation rather than incarceration. Lee was incensed, denouncing Finn for his frailty and Katie for her treachery. "You have transformed this entire family into enablers," she exclaimed, before exiting abruptly. However, Finn remained resolute, asserting, "Luna is ill, not malevolent. She requires help, not punishment." Katie was apprehended for facilitating an escape but was released on bail following Bill's intervention, who discreetly settled with crucial legal contacts. For the first time in years, Bill and Katie found themselves aligned morally, bound by an inexplicable common knowledge that mercy, despite its complexities, was occasionally the most courageous decision. Subsequently, Luna was relocated to a secure psychiatric institution under Finn's oversight. Katie frequently visited, reading to her and assisting in her recovery. The world persisted in its judgment, although Katie remained indifferent. "We cannot alter the past," she said to Luna through the glass, "but we can determine our future actions." As the titles concluded on this poignant narrative, viewers were left contemplating their own interpretations of justice, love, and forgiveness. The Bold and the Beautiful has once more demonstrated that beneath the glamorous facade of Los Angeles fashion exists a realm of moral ambiguity, where even the most benevolent individuals may transgress perilous boundaries in the name of compassion, and where redemption often resides in the most concealed locations. Katie Logan's resistance transcended the mere act of rescuing Luna Nozawa. It was a reclamation of her humanity in a society that often conflates punishment with justice and love with frailty. As the camera focused on the desolate Big Bear Lodge, suddenly vacant yet resonating with memories, viewers pondered, had Katie genuinely rescued Luna, or had she only incited an impending tempest? The narrative did not conclude with Luna's psychiatric transfer, rather, it became increasingly sinister, complex, and emotionally intense as the repercussions affected every prominent family in Los Angeles. Katie's gesture of kindness ignited a comprehensive moral and political conflict among the city's elite. The media seized upon the narrative within hours of Luna's reemergence. Headlines proclaimed, "Spencer Insider assists prison escapee." "Katie Logan betrays family to save dangerous criminal." Spencer Publications entered a state of crisis, with shareholders seeking clarifications and Ridge Forrester confronting Bill in the Forrester Creations conference room during one of the most intense confrontations the show has witnessed in years. "You believe you can purchase absolution for all transgressions, do you not, Bill?" Ridge hissed across the table, his tone subdued yet malevolent. "You shielded your ex-wife from her transgressions due to her emotional display over a girl who almost obliterated 2 families. Bill, always steadfast, maintained his position, his eyes shimmering with subdued fury. "Katie possesses more integrity in her pinky than you will ever comprehend, Forrester," he retorted. "She accomplished what none of you ever could, she perceived the individual behind the controversy." Ridge leaned forward, his tone sharp as ice. "She observed a cunning sociopath who nearly dismantled my daughter's life. Do not romanticize it into sanctity." Steffi, positioned just outside the threshold, eavesdropped on every utterance. Her jaw clenched as she observed 2 powerful figures dispute a woman's act of compassion. Internally, Steffi was conflicted. A portion of her desired to despise Katie, for contravening justice, for jeopardizing all. However, a fragment of her, the small portion that retained her father's lessons on compassion and her mother's faith in redemption, could not entirely condemn Katie either. Steffi's husband, Finn, reminded her of that conflict upon returning home late one evening, fatigued and troubled. "You encountered her today," Steffi stated matter-of-factly, placing her wineglass down. "Luna. You gazed into her eyes. Inquire whether she remains a threat." Finn exhaled audibly, massaging his temples. "She is damaged, Steffi. Not malevolent, merely fragmented. There exists a distinction." Steffi's gaze intensified. That discrepancy nearly resulted in fatalities. Finn gazed at her, the anguish in his countenance unmasked. "Perhaps that is why she merits an opportunity for recovery. The alternative is consigning another fractured individual to confinement until they are utterly depleted." It was the first instance in which Steffi lacked a counterargument. Instead, she averted her gaze, torn, her personal history of addiction and suffering resonating subtly within her heart. Simultaneously, Katie's life was disintegrating. Spencer Publications voted to suspend her from her executive role awaiting inquiry, and she confronted criminal allegations that could jeopardize her career. Brooke and Donna united in her defense, with Brooke cautioning Bill from forsaking her sister. "You, more than anyone, should comprehend the experience of transgressing boundaries for someone you cherish," Brooke remarked incisively, alluding to Bill's criminal history. Bill, caught in a conflict between allegiance and reason, encountered Katie once more at the cabin, the very location where it all began. "I cannot safeguard you indefinitely," he admitted, his voice faltering in a manner never witnessed. "You jeopardize your liberty for a girl who may never express gratitude." Katie smiled wistfully, the burden of her decisions evident in every contour of her visage. "Perhaps my motivations do not pertain to her. Perhaps I am undertaking this for my own sake, for the aspect of myself that continues to believe in the potential for human transformation." Bill's gaze softened. "You have consistently been the cornerstone of this family, Katie. I simply would that the world did not impose a cost for it." During her time at the psychiatric facility, Luna's progress was inconsistent. Her meetings with Finn began to uncover unsettling aspects of her past: childhood mistreatment, manipulation by Poppy Nozawa, and an intense dread of abandonment. Viewers had poignant flashbacks seeing young Luna concealing herself beneath a piano while her mother quarreled with affluent suitors, so grasping early on that love was conditional. "Everyone invariably abandons me," Luna articulated during a notably poignant therapy session, her voice quavering. "I compel them to remain. I compel them to love me." Finn remained silent, comprehending for the first time that Luna's transgression stemmed not from malevolence but from a desperate, warped affection. However, Lee Finnegan was not inclined towards psychological interpretations. She entered the institution with urgency, insisting that Luna be returned to prison. "She is once again exerting manipulation over you, John," she vociferously admonished Finn, her rage scarcely contained. "You are allowing your emotions to obscure your judgment." Finn returned her stare with composure. "I am fulfilling my professional responsibilities, Mother. I am assisting a patient requiring both medical and emotional support." Lee's voice trembled with resentment. "The patient devastated our family. She is unworthy of your compassion," Finn responded gently. "And yet, your presence exemplifies that mercy can redeem even the most callous souls. I absolved you for your actions towards Sheila." The statement resonated in the atmosphere, rendering Lee speechless for an extended, agonizing moment. As weeks elapsed, Luna exhibited indications of progress. She resumed painting, composed letters to individuals she had wronged, and requested Katie to visit frequently. Their relationship evolved into a parental connection, as Katie read poems to her and tenderly reminded her of her humanity. However, as optimism started to flourish, peril re-emerged in the guise of an enigmatic visitor, Poppy Nozawa herself. Poppy appeared to the facility unexpectedly, masquerading as a social worker, and insisted on seeing her daughter. Luna's delicate tranquility disintegrated with her sighting of her. "You abandoned me," Luna shrieked, grasping her hospital gown. "You caused me to become this way." Poppy attempted to console her, although it was evident that her presence was motivated by ulterior motives rather than affection. Speculation arose that Katie's conduct had triggered a legal lawsuit against the state, and Poppy sought financial compensation rather than reconciliation. Finn eavesdropped on the conversation and intervened, compelling Poppy to depart. Subsequently, he confronted her outside. "You are the cause of her devastation," he stated through gritted teeth. "You exploited her. Should you approach her again, I will ensure that your actions are publicly revealed." The incident rekindled long-standing conflicts between Finn and his family. Lee accused Finn of favoring Luna over his wife and children, while Steffi privately feared that her husband's empathy might jeopardize their well-being. "She does not fall under our obligation," Steffi murmured one evening. Finn gazed at her with subdued anguish. "Then to whom does she belong, Steffi? Who assumes accountability for those discarded by society?" Katie's trial emerged as one of the most scrutinized occurrences in the fictitious history of The Bold and the Beautiful. The trial sequences were saturated with drama and ethical intricacy. Brooke, Ridge, Steffi, Finn, and Bill were summoned to provide testimony. The prosecutor depicted Katie as an accomplice to a criminal evasion, whilst the defense, spearheaded by Carter Walton, characterized her as a lady acting from moral imperative. Carter contended in his concluding remarks, "If preserving a life constitutes a crime, then the law has forsaken its fundamental purpose." In a surprising turn of events, Luna ascended the stand, her quavering voice imploring for clemency. "Ms. Logan did not merely rescue me," she stated with tears in her eyes. "She reminded me of my intrinsic value." The judge's ruling followed a prolonged wait. Katie was convicted but received a suspended sentence and community work, preserving her freedom while tarnishing her image. The courtroom exploded, Lee exited in anger, Steffi embraced Finn in relief, and Bill approached Katie with tears in his eyes. "You have altered everything," he said. "Perhaps not the world, but myself." In the next months, Luna's recuperation emerged as a beacon of hope and a catalyst for discussion. Forrester Creations, inspired by her therapeutic artwork, inaugurated a modest charity exhibition showcasing her pieces entitled Shattered Reflections. The event united the show's fragmented families for a singularly sad evening. Katie remained silently at the periphery of the crowd, seeing Luna's subtle smile beneath the gallery illumination. "You are responsible for this," Brooke said, resting a hand on her sister's shoulder. "You afforded her an opportunity." Katie shook her head. "No," she responded gently. "She provided me with one." However, in quintessential Bold and the Beautiful style, tranquility is ephemeral. The concluding tableau hinted at an impending storm, a mysterious individual observing Luna from outside the gallery, grasping an envelope labeled Confidential, State of California Psychiatric Division. As the camera focused, a recognizable ring shimmered on Lee's hand. Her voice resonated softly in the background, "Certain individuals cannot be salvaged. Certain lessons must be acquired through difficult experiences." The screen turned to black, prompting viewers to gasp, speculate, and anticipate the subsequent chapter. Was Lee intending to have Luna recommitted, or worse? Would Katie's insubordination return to plague her again? Will Finn's kindness ultimately jeopardize his marriage to Steffi?